The night was cold enough to make breath visible, the kind of cold that sinks into the bones and makes hunger feel sharper, louder, impossible to ignore. On the edge of a busy highway in Missouri, under the flickering lights of a roadside diner, a young mother stood trembling with empty hands and a heart full of fear. She had not come to cause trouble. She had not come to beg loudly or steal. She had come with the quiet courage of someone who had already swallowed too much pride, hoping that maybe tonight, kindness would be stronger than cruelty. Before this story goes any further, take a moment to pause. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of doing what is right when no one expects it, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this matter because people like this mother exist everywhere. Her name was Rebecca Collins, and she was 29 years old. Just 2 months earlier, she'd been living a normal life in Kansas City with her husband Michael and their 2 children, Noah and Grace. Michael worked construction, Rebecca cleaned offices at night, and life was never easy, but it was stable. Then came the accident on an icy bridge, a sudden phone call, and a funeral paid for by borrowed money. The job Rebecca depended on disappeared soon after when the company downsized, and within weeks the rent fell behind, the car was repossessed, and the fridge became a cold, empty reminder of everything she had lost. She packed what she could carry, took her children, and began moving from shelters to church basements, doing everything she could to keep them fed and warm. That evening, Rebecca had walked nearly 2 miles after leaving her kids asleep in a temporary shelter nearby, trusted to a volunteer who promised to watch them for an hour. She had noticed the diner while passing earlier that day, and saw plates of food being cleared, untouched fries and half-eaten, burgers disappearing into trash bins. All she wanted was leftovers, something that would help her children sleep without hunger twisting their stomachs. She rehearsed her words over and over as she approached the back entrance, reminding herself to stay calm, polite, invisible. Inside the diner, the manager on duty was a man named Harold Benton. He had worked there for years, hardened by long shifts and a growing bitterness toward anyone he considered a problem. When Rebecca quietly asked if there was any food that would be thrown away, his patience snapped instantly. He saw not a struggling mother, but an inconvenience. His voice rose, his face reddened, and he stepped toward her aggressively. He accused her of trespassing, of trying to steal, of making customers uncomfortable. His anger escalated fast, and before Rebecca could step back, he shoved her hard enough to make her stumble against the wall. The sound echoed louder than it should have, and for a moment, everything felt frozen. Rebecca did not scream. She did not fight back. She simply wrapped her arms around herself, shame and fear flooding her chest as tears blurred her vision. She kept thinking of Noah's cough, of Grace asking earlier if they could have pancakes tomorrow. She apologized again and again, even though she had done nothing wrong. What she did not realize was that the scene was no longer private. Across the parking lot, a group of motorcycles had just pulled in, their engines rumbling low and steady. They were part of a local biker club from Arkansas, passing through after a charity ride that raised money for veterans and struggling families. Among them were men named Thomas Reed, Joshua Miller, Aaron Blake, and Samuel Carter, riders with weathered faces and quiet eyes that had seen enough of the world to recognize injustice instantly. They had come for coffee and rest, not trouble, but the sight of a man cornering a crying woman changed everything. They did not rush in yelling or throwing punches. Instead, they entered together, filling the space with a calm but undeniable presence. Their leather jackets bore patches worn from years of road dust, and their silence spoke louder than shouting ever could. Customers turned to look. The manager froze mid-rant, suddenly aware that the balance of power had shifted. Thomas, the oldest among them, stepped forward slowly. He did not raise his voice. He did not threaten. He simply stood between Rebecca and the manager, his posture firm, his expression steady. The room grew quiet as the reality of the situation settled in. Harold's anger drained into uncertainty, then fear. The bikers had seen enough. One of them helped Rebecca sit, another offered her water, and another stepped outside to call the police, not to escalate violence, but to make sure there was accountability. As the truth came out, customers spoke up, confirming what they had seen. The police arrived, listened, and made a report. Harold was escorted away, his authority stripped in a matter of minutes. The diner owner would later terminate his employment after reviewing security footage. But the night did not end there. The bikers stayed. They ordered food, not for themselves, but for Rebecca and her children. They packed bags with warm meals, fruit, milk, and even desserts. Samuel quietly handed her a card with a number on it, explaining that their club partnered with churches and shelters across several states. They raised money, delivered supplies, and helped families get back on their feet. Before leaving, they filled her backpack with groceries and slipped cash into her hand, refusing recognition or praise. When Rebecca returned to the shelter, her children woke to the smell of food and the sight of their mother smiling for the first time in weeks. That night she cried, not from fear, but from relief. In the weeks that followed, the bikers helped connect her with a church in Oklahoma that offered transitional housing. She found work at a small bakery owned by a woman named Margaret Wilson, who believed in second chances. Slowly, life began to rebuild. If this story is touching your heart right now, if you feel that lump in your throat or that quiet reminder that kindness still exists, please take a second to like this video, share it, and subscribe. Your support helps keep stories like this alive. Months later, Rebecca would volunteer at food drives herself, telling her children that angels do not always have wings. Sometimes they ride motorcycles and show up exactly when you think no one sees you. Before this story ends, we have a special request for you. Please comment the word kindness if you believe that no one should be punished for being hungry, and that compassion can still change lives. Rebecca's life did not become perfect, but it became hopeful. And sometimes hope is more powerful than anything else.